Like most mecha fans, I've been spending a large amount of my time playing mission after mission after mission of the absolutely fantastic Armored Core 6. This game right here is the mecha game of the generation, if not the best mecha game of all time. But there really is only one glaring massive problem with it, in my opinion. Where the fuck are the model kits? I mean, every time I start it up, all I see on the screen is Bandai Namco, published by Bandai Namco, which is on every single, well, the vast majority of the boxes inside of this room right here. They are the kings of the model kit mecha, yet when you look onto the horizon of the world of model kits looking for some Armored Core, what do you see but... This is an absolute travesty. Now, I've heard rumors that the kits for Armored Core 6 are going to come and they are going to be by Kotobukiya. But when you take a look over at Kotobukiya and what they're doing and you look for some Armored Core 6, all you see is... Now, for people like you and me that are now going through Armored Core model kit withdrawal and you absolutely need a fix, the only real thing to do is look for alternatives. And what is the alternatives? When you go looking straight away, I suppose the first thing you'll find is the older Armored Core kits. Now, there's two issues with that. One, they're not that great. I remember the first time I ever saw them, I rushed to the Kotobukiya store in Akihabara. I saw the boxes, I was blown away. I was about to purchase when I saw actual finished ones inside of a glass cabinet, and I was like, they don't look that great. And lo and behold, fast forward to a few years later, I tried the White Glint, my all-time favorite Armored Core mech, and it was absolutely horrendous.
This isn't a joke, by the way. I think this kit is legit giving me cancer. Like, I don't know where this rash has come from, but yeah, oh man.
Sure, it would probably look nice with a lot of paint, but that is it. It sucks to put together, it's super fragile, and at the end of the day, you're never going to get anything like a pose. You can't really pose it around or move it either. It's just always going to look like it's just standing there. A little bit lame. And like I mentioned, there's two issues wrong with that. That was the first one. The second one is, even if you don't really care about that and you just want a cool looking mech, and they'll do for doing just that, well, the price of them these days is obscene. You're looking in the €200–400 mark. Now that is totally not worth it. Meanwhile, while your Armored Core plastic itch isn't being scratched, you're still looking around and the next thing you'll probably find is Bandai's Gunpla. Those are absolutely fantastic and awesome, but they do not have any kind of Armored Core feel. They don't have that raw, militaristic, real robot flair that you get with Armored Core. Now, you may find the odd kit that will work in a kind of Armored Core kind of way, maybe something from Advance of Zeta, or the Zowarts from the recent Witch from Mercury line. Those are designed by an Armored Core designy guy who worked on 4 and 4 Answer as far as I know, so they do look very Armored Core-y. Same with the Gundam Fract, to some degree, so that will work. But it is missing the one thing that makes Armored Core awesome, the customizability. Choosing your loadout, choosing the different weapons for the arms, the back, whether you want a light mecha, a heavy mecha, 2 legs, reverse limbed, 4 legs, etc. That is not there in those Zoward kits. Now, I don't know if this happened by coincidence or if it just happened subconsciously, but while I was actually just choosing some stuff off of the backlog over here, I grabbed a particular kit. And that particular kit is this one right here, the 30-minute missions Providel Type Rex 01, once again by those awesome guys over at Bandai Namco. I thought this was just a regular 30-minute missions kit, but as I was actually building through it, I just was kind of looking at it and it said to me,
"I've got your back, buddy."
And it suddenly just clicked in my head. It was like, this is the most awesome customizable mech line around. Now, if you don't know 30-minute missions, I've done quite a few videos of them. I haven't really been keeping up to date on them because these are notoriously underrated and notoriously underbought. They're so damn good. But the thing is, they don't have something like a franchise behind them like Armored Core, Gundam, etc. to push their sales. I know they're quite popular enough in Japan, but I just do not see enough people talking about them. They're awesome. To sum it up, these are essentially Lego for mecha fans. They are model kits, you do have to cut out all the parts, but all the parts are completely interchangeable. They've got so many different connection points. 3mm holes, C-clips, ball joints, all of which is completely customizable across the line. When they started out, they were extremely plain, but as the line has expanded and more things have come out, there's so much awesome stuff available to make your own mech with, and that is just out of box. Depending on how crazy you want to get, you can just build a custom out of the colors that are available, or you can paint them up. Even while looking online, looking for some information on some armored core mecha model kits, these sort of things just pop up where people are making their own armored cores from these kits. Like I said, you can paint them too, and they will look outstanding. So today what I'm going to do is try and make some kind of armored core proxy out of these particular kits and see if we can get a armored core kind of feel out of it. That's the plan. Can we get some kind of armored core proxy that scratches that armored core mecha model kit itch? I think that we can. Also, I'm just going to mention about this right here, which is the Providel Type Rex 01. I knew this was meant to be big because it's in a big box, but I didn't expect it to be this big. There is a high-grade Gundam. This thing is absolutely huge. It's really unique after building like so many 30-minute mission kits and seeing kind of what they look like. To see one that has all the, well, individual 30-minute mission aspects, but at a huge scale. It's pretty cool. I hope they make some more of these. This is kick-arse. Alright, so the first thing to do is find where those 30-minute missions kits are in this here dank corner. Let's see, we've got some build fighters, metal builds. Could have been more awkward fucking spot. Alright, I got it. Hopefully there's no rat living in there. Okay, in order to like finish this off, I need the king of the model kit mecha hangars, which is here somewhere, but I'm not sure. That, of course, is the Kotobukiya chain base. Absolutely great looking, terrible to put together. There it is. Alright, so here is everything that we will be needing. So that is the chain base and the 30-minute mission kits. And over here I've got a bunch more 30-minute mission kits in case I do need to kind of dive in and get some bits. Got some weapons and stuff. These ones definitely have a bit of an armored core vibe, so I'll be taking those. And there's just so many cool, awesome little bits and bobs you can get for using with these particular kits. But anyway, let's get these out. Alright, so first up, I'm going to be taking a look at the chain base right here. Now, just in case you don't know what I mean by chain base, this is Kotobukiya's chain base. Honestly, one of the most popular kind of hangar style model kits that's out there, which is kind of weird that this isn't that readily available. It kind of came out way back, then it came out again in kind of smaller little A and B kits, where you get just kind of a couple inside the box. Pricey enough, but really awesome for what you get. A little awkward to put together, doesn't hold together without a little bit of extra added effort. And the amount of channels out there where this is their actual background for reviews, customs, etc. is ridiculous that, well, Kotobukiya or Bandai haven't released more of these kind of things. They're awesome. What wasted potential. So yeah, the reason I don't use mine that often is I've always meant to get around to kind of like, I don't know, modifying it so it works a little bit better. Out of box, this thing is really rickety, especially if you actually try to put a lot together to make a kind of set of 3 walls or a corner or something like that. It can fall apart quite a bit, so that's why I kind of stopped using it, but on the whole, this thing is quite awesome. You've got big old plates that basically look like this for using as your background. If you paint that up or even just hit it with a matte top coat so it's not shiny, it will look great. There's a load of holes in it already that's for actually attaching bits on, and I used to just stick Christmas lights through those. You know, those battery operated Christmas lights just for some LED effects. Simple, but really effective. Continue to dig through here. I've got a few of these, not like a ridiculous amount. Some paper in here to stop them getting busted in transit. But yeah, seems like I've got some more kind of little hanger-esque bits. This one right here is by Bandai. Another one here by Bandai. There's that little Christmas lights thing I was talking about, what's really yellowed with age now and super busted, that I used to use for the lights. Oh good, I do have the walkways in here too, so that means when we do put this together, we'll get a little bit of an armored core hanger feel. So I know this is super off topic, this is really just for the background, but just in case you're curious, this is how the chain base works. You've got these floor tiles, you pop them together a little bit something like that. These work quite well. It's more so the way the back works, especially the sides, that gets a little bit awkward. On the bottom of the walls, right here, we've got these little parts, and they just slot on in just like so. So that works extremely well. Then you just continue along, you just pop it in from the top. Wait, that doesn't work. See how it kind of gets a little bit awkward? So you have to attach these guys together as a plate first, then you can't attach them on just like so. Now that is not too bad. And that looks pretty cool so far. So putting this together wasn't exactly as bad as I remember the first time. Maybe it's because I'm kind of more used to it. Still a little bit on the kind of wiggly side out of box. I do recommend cementing or gluing this together if you want to make something a little bit more permanent and a little bit more stronger. If you're going to move it around, pick it up, stuff like that, it won't hold together just out of box like this, but it does look a lot, or should I say feels a lot more secure than I actually remember it feeling. This thing is as good as it gets when it comes to hanger displays. It just looks so cool, especially those rear walls. All the different levels of detail in it, you get a whole load of nice parts, but it is a little bit on the pricey side and very hard to come by these days. It's mainly resellers you'll find it from now. Which is weird because this thing is a Mecha model kit builder staple. So yeah, this right here is what it looks like pretty much done. I'm going to see if those old Christmas lights work to get some light in the back. But for the most part, I'm just going to try and replicate what we see in the game. Something a little bit similar. Something to throw the model kits into once they're kind of put together. So I'm going to try and get something a little bit like this here. I don't have any red lights though. So in order to kind of set the scene here a little bit, I'm going to be grabbing a regular old Gundam because it is about the size of a 30-minute missions, which we're going to be playing around with. Just going to throw it in here, get the camera just right to try and kind of just get everything where it needs to go. For example, from this image right here, it looks like the catwalks are around at knee height, so we're going to do something like that. Also, trying to get the lighting a little bit nicer. Like I mentioned, I don't have any red lights, but I do have, well, red LEDs, small ones, but I do have some big old Philips Hue things. I can try and see if I can get them to shine through the holes that we have in here, get the light in a kind of blue-greenish kind of hue like we have in the background, a bit of top lighting, just like this right here. So this is kind of setting the scene a little bit. So the Kotobukiya chain base does come with some catwalks right here. This is a little bit dark right now. Let's just realign this. Less mood lighting for the minute. But we do get some catwalks in here. So we're going to try and get this to knee height, which is quite low. We do have a few choices on here. Will this one do it? It looks pretty good. Alright, so far it's coming together quite nicely. If you throw the camera right in here, it's already getting those vibes that we'd be looking for from an armored core kind. I'm getting so distracted by the hangar. So far it's come together extremely well. The lighting looks cool. All the catwalks look like where they're meant to be. There are a couple of things that I had that I really wish I could use. I've got these tiny little floodlights. These you can actually use, which set a really nice scene. It could light from below like you see in Armored Core 6, but sadly these have no batteries, and for some reason I just never have button batteries around the place whatsoever, even though I need them all the time. So I'm just going to steal the arm off one of these, just for that kind of like loading, unloading, big ol' arm bullshit that you see in the background. That kind of looks pretty cool. Well, yeah, that looks actually really cool. That looks legit. And then just take this part right here, which looks nice and mechanical, and I'll just chuck it in the background, just like so. But definitely a total letdown that we couldn't use those floodlights. Or should I say spotlights, not floodlights. They were spotlights. Alright, so now we've got the hangar, or should I say now that I've been finished being super distracted by the building that there hangar, it's time to take a look inside of this big old box of 30-minute mission kits. Now, the vast majority of what is inside of this, not including these packets, I would have reviewed before. So if you need to see what exactly these kits are like, then you can check out those reviews, because I'm just going to be busting out some boxes, taking a look inside and see if we can build something that look a little bit like some armored cores. So there's definitely some of these that have a real armored core kind of vibe. Then we've got ones that have definitely no armored core vibe. And I guess it's, you know, time to try and mix and match them together to see which will work and make something that looks a little bit like an AC. So in order to make sure this is somewhat accurate, I'm going to try and grab a couple of actual Armored Core 6 ACs and see what I can do to replicate them as simply as possible. So I'm going to start off with everyone's favorite Armored Core character, which of course is V for Rusty. So now when it does come to Rusty, he's got two different versions of his Armored Core, which is the Steel Haze. You've got the standard Steel Haze, and then later on in the game, I guess, spoilers, just in case you are going to play it, you may not want to hear this, but there is the Steel Haze Ortis. That's a lot more of a regular kind of mech. It's almost very similar to a Gundam. Actually, when I was playing the game, I painted it in Gundam colors, and it worked out quite well. Now, the regular Steel Haze, that is completely different. That's a reverse-limbed, almost bird-limbed light mech. That might be a little bit harder to pull off with Armored Core kits, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. And of course, I might as well go with the standard Raven mech that you end up starting the game with. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Now, I will mention right here, if you want to see Steel Haze done right, I saw this guy, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll pop it right up on the screen right now, over on Twitter, or X as it is now, who's actually 3D printing out the most perfect looking version of Steel Haze. So if you want to follow that, I'll throw a link in the description. Alright, so of course matching the colors might be a little bit difficult with the actual plastic. I'm sure as fuck not gonna paint these because I like to play around with them a lot. I don't want to kind of get them stuck in a certain kind of way, but we'll see what we can do color wise. I'm going to be starting off right here using this, which is the CL Nova. Now this has a kind of body quite similar, the head is similar enough, and I guess we'll try and see. Mine right here has been kind of converted a little bit using some of the armor parts, so I'm just gonna have to try and find. Okay, so working my way through the bits and pieces, and this is what I've got this down to so far. Now for the legs, there are really only one set of reverse limb legs when it comes to 30-minute mission kits. They look like this right here. I have the black variant somewhere, but I'm not sure where. And they're very, 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 very long, and they don't kind of bend into the angle that we'll be wanting. They actually really elongate the unit. So I'm going to see what I can do with regular legs somehow, or some kind of parts. Now this one has some potential. This is a custom I put together before, just out of various parts, testing them out. So I'm going to steal the lower section of this just to kind of test out what we're getting here. Now those legs need to be a whole lot slimmer. Alright, so continuing on, and this is the point I'm at right now. The biggest issue, of course, is legs that are narrow enough, or, well, get into the whole reversed limb kind of way. Now, one of these Spinatia right here has very, very narrow, dark colored legs, so that's what I'm probably going to go with for the lower segment. Maybe mixed with a little foot like this one right here. Only problem is trying to get them reversed limbed. So far while trying to get this Steel Haze together, I've been using every part as it should. I've been using legs as legs, knees as knees, etc. But this line comes with such an amount of ridiculous joints, there probably is some combination to extend the legs into some reversed limb joints. Like this little pair of joints right here. Of course, these won't be as pretty or as strong as a regular set of legs, but you can manage to get some kind of reversed limbness out of it with those. There's probably even a better combination. Alright, so that is what I've got so far. I do feel like the arm to leg ratio is definitely a bit off. There could be tweaking to be done there, but let's speed on through and get some weapons on this. So now continuing on, and it's time for some weapons. So first off, we're going with the right hand unit, which seems to be a bit of a submachine gun. So this right here is the Sampu, which is a burst handgun. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to recreate that little bit of a giant magazine that's running the whole way around in a U shape, but the rest of it, we should be able to get something similar. So there is a lot of handguns to choose from when it comes to 30-minute missions. We've got the military weapons right here, which has a bunch of different handguns up here, and rifles, which will have that absolute Armored Core kind of feel, all with expansion slots. I've got a whole bunch of other weapons here that came with various other sets. We've got chainsaws, massive assault rifles, and there should be some kind of pistols in here too. We've got small submachine guns, which if I was super lazy, I could just go with something like that. But I'm not super lazy, I'm just kind of like moderately lazy. We've got these smaller, almost silenced pistols that we would have got, I think, with the CL Novas. You can pop that off for a little shorter kind of thing, extend it a little bit more. But we'll see what we can get that's a little more accurate. So this is a very small handgun, so the smallest handguns seem to be inside of this particular kit. I have in these builds, so it's time to choose one and see which one will work out the best. You also get to see what these kits look like when they are on build. So we do get some nice stuff inside of here. Some shields, a knife, a large rifle, some more smaller ones over here. Ooh, those are particularly nice. But there is our handguns. We've got this one here, which is actually larger than expected. And we've got this one here, which is a nice size, but it does have a bit of a kind of cylinder on it, which I guess doesn't matter too much. Grab your old nipper, and it's time to get snipping. So these seem simple enough. The handguns just seem to be 2 parts each, so let's just put them together. Alright, so when it comes to the handguns, we've got this one right here, which I think looks quite good, besides the fact that it does have a bit of a revolver, barley majigger in the middle there, the drum, and we do have this one right here, which is a bigger standard handgun. This has an expansion point at the top. This one has one below, which gives us a bit of potential. Also on here, I did just see we do have a bit of a holster right here, so that means if we do want to make a bit of a hangar section, if you do want to make one of those kind of weapon rack system kind of things for up on its back like we see with the steel haze, we can do that. Sadly, magazines seem to be the kind of things that are permanent fixtures on weapons. Either that or they're absolutely huge, like this drum magazine right here. So I guess we're gonna have to go magazineless. However, you know, you're not completely limited by the way these things actually work. So just use some glue and you can probably make something work out. So I'm just going to take this here little bit that's actually off a kind of knuckle guard or something like that. I'm going to pop a bit of good old blue tack onto it. I'm going to shove that in and there we go. That kind of gives the vibe that we're looking for right there. So on the left arm, we've got one of those kind of blades, the close quarters melee weapons. And this seems to be ridiculously like just a bunch of shapes. Doesn't really have much to it, so I guess I'm just going to have to cobble something together. So one more spelunk into the garage to get this right here, which is a bunch of blade effects I featured in a review before. So basically, I was like, oh, sure, I'll just make any old crap for on Rusty's arm right here. But I was like, there are blue energy effects out there for using, and I have them in the garage, so why the hell not? If you want to see more about those, I do have a video about those, but for now, let's try them on. So as far as I know, Rusty uses the kind of daggery type one or something similar like that, but I'm just going to go with this because it's pretty much right off the runners in this style, which is more of that kind of double-ended helicopter attack kind of one. So that's the one I'm going to go with, and it folds up decently enough. Maybe, might need some readjustment. So when it comes to 30-minute missions, if something doesn't do what you want, there's always some kind of adapter or pair of adapters for doing just that. Now I feel like there should be one of these, which is a C-clip on one end, the actual C-clip attachment point on the other end. There should be just one like that I don't have to use a combination of two, but I can't seem to find one. But yeah, there for now I've got my folding pair of blades that can be either used as some kind of combination big blade when flipped forward just like this, or flip into that kind of combination spiraling blade that we have in the game as well. And when you want it just in its non-used form, you can just pop off the blades. Then just kind of fold it up onto the arm, a little something like that. So now moving around to the weapons that are on the back, and first up we're going to be going with the burst rifle, that is the Ransets. Now this is another case of these weapons having a full U of a magazine, probably just so you have tons of ammo and that it has some kind of support considering how large it is. That won't be completely doable right out of box, but I'll see what kind of long rifle that I can get. So when it comes to the long rifles with these particular kits, these are very specific. Again, the actual magazines are all quite compact on these kits. There's no big long sickle style magazines, so expect to see some of those in 30-minute missions at some point. I already feel like the Rex right there is awfully similar. Quite deniably different, but awfully similar to the design of something like the Steel Haze. So I put together the rifle from the military weapon set, and it's not really given the vibe that I was hoping for. However, we do have 2 expansion slots down below, which means you can expand it. The expansion that comes included is this large segment like this that goes underneath, which completely changes the vibe to a larger looking, albeit very armored core looking weapon, but not what we're looking for right now. Ammo magazine seems to be kind of rare-ish thing. I know this right here, the Gardenova did come with a weapon that did have a magazine, but I can't, one that's actually removable, but I can't seem to find his weapon anywhere. Ah, I found it. I'd kind of converted it. It's a tiny little magazine, but it's gonna have to do. So in the end, I decided to go with this one, mainly because it's got hard points on the side. It is a machine gun, well, burst rifle of sorts, and it'll be easy to attach up onto the shoulder. I wasn't having a whole lot of luck with this combination right here, but at least we got the handgun out of that set. So now with this backpack attached on, we will be able to make a couple of arms for attaching on the shoulder weapons. So when it comes to designing something for up on the shoulders, there's a varying, well, you can do pretty much whatever you want. There's so many different types of joints in here you can organize in the way that you want, like this kind of tube, kind of piston-y style one, or you could go with a more boxy shaped adapter segment like this right here. Then just plug them into that 3mm hole up on the back, a little something like that, and you've got your shoulder mounted weapon. Pretty badass. The weapon bay in Armored Core is extremely similar to some parts you see on some Kyokai Senki kits, so if you're looking for another alternative that kind of has a heavy mecha kind of feel, Kyokai Senki kits have that as well. They're big, they're massive, they're awesome, and have shoulder mounted weapon racks. So up on the shoulder I wanted to build a kind of a rack that kind of would allow this weapon to be passed forward into the arm like it does in the game. So I wanted something that kind of went up and forward, but kind of held it nicely behind the unit when not in use. So it's a bit of a moving arm system that will bring that all the way forward when it does need to be used and swapped with the weapon on the arm that's there already, like in the game. So up on the other shoulder, the right hand shoulder, we do have a plasma missile system. So this is definitely unique looking, so putting this together might be a little bit more difficult. So building an arm is simple enough, it's just a case of getting a whole bunch of joint parts attached together that look good, so that should do the job. Next up though is the launcher. And combining this little bit of a handgun section with this bit of a vernier section, I got this right here. I'm sure you could probably get something a lot more accurate looking with a little bit more time on your hands, but this is taking me so much longer than I initially intended it to. So that's a little longer than I wanted it to be. So in the end, that right there is what we got. That is my V4 Rusty right there made out of these parts. Of course, this would look a whole million times better if you actually did paint it up so it all matches what you'd see in the game. I'm sure a lot of the different elements could be made out of different parts, probably a little bit more accurate. And this took me so long that I was going to make a few of these, but it'll take too long. I'm just going to make a custom with a kind of Armored Core kind of flair to it, just so you can see what these kits can do. So I'm going to go with a left and right arm weapon and 2 shoulder mounted. So one thing I didn't mention in this video is there are custom heads. These come with different options set kits like this one right here, or this one right here that do not come with any other kits. There's also the option of building your own custom heads like this one right here. Now I did do a video on that. Basically you get the core of the head as well as a bunch of front parts, lower front parts, back parts, and ear sections as well. These all build up in really cool kind of, really Armored Core kind of looking ways, and there is the instructions of one of the packets I just have lying around. So there is so much to do here, and you can swap out parts. There's adapters for adapters for adapters. So much can be done. The sky is the limit. These are the ultimate mecha building kits. I will also mention if you're thinking about 4-leg builds, those aren't that simple. There are some options for actually connecting standard legs together. Like I mentioned, you can do really anything, but when it comes to actual quad-legged kits, the only one that's really out there is Portanova Space Type. There are some Caterpillar track ones out there too for other style of Armored Core ACs. So one cool thing about these particular kits is you can buy them in the one color. So different kits in the one shade of green, which automatically means that you can actually combine them together using all these different parts without any kind of painting whatsoever, which is a really handy thing to be able to do. The other colors, of course, are that kind of navy blue. There's this kind of white and kind of purpley combination. There's dark navy. And all, well, not every kit comes in every color, but the most common ones kind of do. So the white and the green are extremely common. So let's use some green to put together something a little bit Nightfall-esque, but not really Nightfall. And not taking as much damn time. So narrow arm seems to be the go-to on most AC. So once again, back to the CL Nova, or should I say CL Nova to steal those arms. That whole thick trunk, narrow branches or whatever that I read once in a blurb in the game. So yeah, basically I just combined a bunch of the green parts together. It seems a lot of the Armored Core shoulders are those kind of, how to say, like long, pointing towards the front, elongated kind. This isn't all that common in Bandai's design, so the only thing I've been finding that in is some of the CL Nova parts. Actually, the CL Nova parts match really well with Armored Core designs. I put together a little bit of a burst machine gun or burst pistol for the right arm, a pile bunker for the left arm, and I'd actually a very nice little missile pod put together somewhere that I absolutely misplaced. And after misplacing it, I just started fiddling around with this one because, once again, CL Novas really do seem to really work well for AC style ACs, or should I say Armored Core style ACs. And I've spent so long searching for that missing missile pod in all of these bits, which I will have to clean up after finishing this video, so I guess that is it for today. If you want something that is going to give you that Armored Core feel in model kits with all the customizability that you would want from something like that, then this is the line for you. 30-minute missions is amazing. Now, apparently Kotobukiya are going to be making some Armored Core kits in future for Armored Core 6. I'm really looking forward to that, just because the older ones aren't that great. They are very dated, based off of Kotobukiya's newer kits, like the bulk arms, various different hexagear kits, that really ridiculously cool V-Thor, I think it was called. Those kits are all absolute perfection. So if it is Armored Core 6 style with that sort of modern day Kotobukiya quality, I am really all about that and hoping they announce something soon. Anyway, everything that I used in this video, all these 30-minute mission kits, are from Hobby Link Japan, so if you do want some of your own, check them out. These kits are so fun, so inexpensive, and really are the best mecha model kit line around. Like I mentioned, I haven't even used paint or anything. This is just putting them together from parts that are inside of the boxes. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more mecha model kit videos, and I'll see you next time. As always, this video right here would not have been possible without each and every single one of you guys who watches my videos, and all of these awesome people right here who help out on the channel memberships and over on Patreon, including 10 Soldier YT, Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Dashil Marmion, Golel Rockstar, Joe, Lauren Sihak, or G95061, 10 Soldier YT again, and Van Fawn.